Hello folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. It's Wednesday, August the 27th. And as you can possibly tell from my level of sartorial elegance, I'm off to play golf. But I thought before I made a fool of myself on the golf course, I would talk about somebody who isn't my favorite fighter, but since yesterday I made a video asking, what's going on with Anthony Joshua and would he fight again? It sort of, makes sense to have a bookend, if you like, to talk about Tyson Fury, because so often Fury and AJ and Fury are mentioned in the same, if not the same sentence, at least the same paragraph. So let's have a look at Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, as he self-refers to as. Fury's record, 34-2-1. Fury's retirements, 5 retirements, maybe 6. I've lost track, to be perfectly honest. Theoretically, he is presently retired. However, he still has a rating. He's rated number 1 by the Ring magazine, if I remember correctly. So, is he retired or isn't he retired is a question. Periodically, he will tease us with something along the lines of, oh, big announcement, or I'm in the gym with Sugar Hill, or recently he was on the pads with his dad. And then other times he says, nah, you know what? This is a young man's game. Since they stole my belts, F you all kind of thing. And then other times he'll say, oh, big announcement, coming. So really we don't know. What we do know is he loves the limelight. That if something is going on in the boxing world, let's say, for argument's sake, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world, popping up like the proverbial bad penny will be Tyson Fury with something to say, dragging attention over to him away from whoever else it happened to be focused on. That's just his shtick, I think. And he's been massively successful in having people talk about him. Well, this is what I'm doing right now, right? So, and of course, how much money has he made? I was talking with somebody in the comments section only this morning, and I said, $500 million more, it's an incomprehensibly large number, at least to someone like me. I intellectually know what it is, but I can't imagine it. So both he and, for that matter, AJ have got absolutely generational wealth. Like their great grandkids will be saying, "Oh, thank God for great granddad Tyson," that sort of stuff, right? If we look at his career, the highlights probably, I think for most people, would be 2015 when he beat Vladimir Klitschko. I feel as though Vlad deserved a rematch, and I think a rematch would have told us a lot about both fighters, but it never happened. After he beat Vlad, Tyson took 3 years off. There was the issue over the wild boar meat, uncastrated boars or something like that. There was shenanigans around that. And then Tyson gave in to, his own personal desires and ballooned up to, I think it was over 400 pounds. But after 3 years, he got himself back into shape. He fought Seferi, he fought Pianeta, and then he stepped into the ring with Deontay Wilder. Got a draw, which most people think he should have won. Then he fought Tom Schwartz. That was pay-per-view. Can you imagine pay-per-view for Tom Schwartz? It was. We paid, or at least some of us did. Then he had a very lucky escape with Otto Wallin, who cut him badly and I think frankly, most other fighters would have had a stoppage loss against their record. But Tyson, well, Tyson is Tyson, right? Then, after Wallin, he stepped back into the ring with Wilder and KO'd Wilder. The Wilder 2 and Wilder 3 fights were, really, all the Wilder fights were spectacular. The only thing we now have to say is, how good was Wilder? We don't know. The victories over Wilder haven't aged that well, in my opinion. But they're freakingly exciting fights. I've watched all of them lots of times. And yeah, it's a very exciting trilogy. It's just a pity that we just don't know what quality Wilder was. But hey-ho. He then had the only mandatory defense in his entire career. He fought Dillian Whyte. KO'd him. Then he fought Chisora, a fight that we were all champing at the bit to watch. Not. It was the trilogy that nobody wanted to watch. And then, and this is kind of shameful, he fought Francis Ngannou. Why is it shameful to fight Francis Ngannou? It's because he was the champion at the time and it held up the belt. When AJ fought Ngannou, there was no belt. So nobody really cares. But anyhow, he went life and death with Francis Ngannou. Clearly, Tyson totally underestimated Ngannou because there's absolutely no way that Tyson had taken it seriously. It can't be the case because Tyson, whether you like him or loathe him, he's a man of great skills. And Ngannou would have been made to look foolish had Tyson trained. But Ngannou put him on his ass. And then he had the 2 losses, back-to-back losses against Alexander Usyk, a man he'd avoided forever, called him middleweight, said he was no need to fight him because everybody knew he would beat him. Well, he had moments against Alexander Usyk, in particular in the first fight. Round 6, round 7, those were possibly the hardest rounds that anybody has given Alexander Usyk. Usyk came back in round 8 and then round 9, my favorite round in the last decade. Fury was beaten from pillar to post. The ref did his best to join in and stop Usyk. I often think, can you imagine, someone like Foreman or Ron Lyle having Fury in that position and stopping their punch? No way. Anyhow, it is what it is. Fury lived to survive 10, 11, and 12, and, arguably had some halfway decent moments, but clearly lost. And then in the rematch, it was more of the same, except it wasn't so dramatic. Fury, of course, has not admitted to the loss. He has been, Dick Turpin wore a mask as a reference to the highway robbery that he feels he suffered, that they gave his belts to Usyk. It was because of the war in the Ukraine. He refuses to accept that. Which brings us to, where does he go now? Well, if he refuses to accept that he was beaten, is that going to prevent him from ever stepping back into the ring again? Is it going to be the case that he's so bitter about it that he's like, F you all, I don't want nothing to do with it. And by the time he's sort of got over it, he's in his early 40s and then, that ship has sailed. Or does he feel as though he has a wrong to put right? We don't know. Arguably, he doesn't know either, right? Tyson is a mercurial fellow. According to Frank Warren, he's bipolar. So it might be that he can hold, 2 different views in his head almost at the same time, right? 2 mutually exclusive views in his head at the same time. We just don't know. I mean, if anybody watching this absolutely knows Tyson Fury, reach out. but I think that most of us don't, right? And like I say, Tyson probably swings back and forth on a lot of these issues. But let's assume that he decides to come back. Who should he fight? Well, he might want a warm-up fight against a no-name. Maybe. I don't ascribe to that sort of theory that you need a warm-up. I think that's what hard sparring would do. And I don't want to even think about who, what Mike Bologin out there is suitable for a warm-up fight for Tyson Fury. So let's talk about serious fights that he could have. The most obvious one, as I said yesterday with respect to Anthony Joshua, is that these two guys, Fury and Joshua, need to get it on. Fury, I would be cheering for AJ because I prefer AJ. I don't like what Fury has to say outside of the ring, to be honest, and it's turned me off. But setting aside that entirely personal bias, I would anticipate that Fury would beat Anthony Joshua. I mean, can Anthony Joshua knock Fury down? Absolutely. Can Fury get up? Probably. Can Fury knock Anthony Joshua down? Absolutely. Can Anthony Joshua get up? Unlikely, right? AJ doesn't have that recovery thing going on. Fury, it's like a superpower, right? And Fury is technically the better boxer, I think, than Anthony Joshua. So I would expect Fury to win. But both Fury and AJ are greedy. They both probably want over $100 million or something to fight. Is that money there? I don't know. I would think it would be, but, it's like the bacon you get in the store. At some point it's going to get marked down because it's approaching its sell-by date, right? Who else? Well, I suspect that Fury would want another bite of the Usyk cherry. And is that viable? It ought not to be, but it probably is. It's a massive money fight. Turki Al-Sheikh would probably support it. Usyk would be, I hate to say it, he would be foolish to turn it down because it's so much money. But would that go the same way as the other two fights went? Probably. It's just a money grab for both, I think. Hard to say. Moses Itoma, that's an interesting fight. That's a really interesting fight. Would Fury take it? Would Fury give Moses rounds? Of course he would. Could Fury beat Moses? I think Fury can actually beat anybody, except for Alexander Usyk. Would he beat Moses? It's heavyweight boxing, who knows, right? Does Fury care about his legacy? He says he doesn't. Well, he said in the past he doesn't, but he probably does. Chisora 4. Chisora's very last fight. Until he decides to do another 50. I don't know. Is there somebody else that Tyson Fury could fight? Is it conceivable, like we were talking yesterday about AJ fighting Zhang, is it conceivable that Fury could fight Zhang? Is it conceivable that Fury could fight Bakoli? Is it conceivable that Fury could fight Wardley? Remember, Frank Warren has most of these fighters, right? Are any of these things possible? They're all possible, but it's the money, right? Because I'm not thinking that Fury will fight for anything less than a massive, massive amount of money. Well, there's only a couple of fights that I think can actually pay that money. 3, I think. There's Usyk 3. there's AJ, and you could have AJ1 and AJ2, right? It could be a double deal. And then there probably is Moses. There probably is enough out there so that Moses could, generate enough interest. Young lion, old lion, and all that sort of jazz. Dillian White 2. It could sell out somewhere, but it doesn't make the money that Tyson Fury wants. In my view, Tyson will come back. I think he'll come back for either of Usyk or AJ. I hate to say it, I think Usyk is more likely. I would like to see AJ just to draw a line under it. But what I would like most of all is to hear what your thoughts are. Please leave them in the comment section. And now I must disappear and go and chase a little white, or in my case, yellow ball around a golf course. So, wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous day. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.